And welcome to another exciting adventure on the energy that surrounds us. I'm your host, Michael. And oh, sorry guys, my eyes are starting to water right now. And I'm hoping I don't go blind during the show from my eyes watering. Don't know what's going on. I must have gotten around something. But with that being said, tonight, we are in for a huge treat because making her fourth appearance around the same day. So we dubbed it tradition, and so I am honored and blessed to be able to keep this tradition going. We work this when we start scheduling the next season. We're like, okay, which one of the days are you available? So we'll keep it going. But with that being said, she has a lot of great information to share with us tonight and great topics. So I'm going to turn it over to the one, the only, amazing, newly graduated Carina Hull.
Hello, everyone. I am super excited. We have to keep doing this every year. So, yes, I just graduated. So I think my bio says BSN. It's now MSN. With my master's degree in nursing. And today I think we have scheduled to talk about spiritual gifts and spirit guides. So I'm really excited to share this with you and kind of talk about it. So
yeah, and you bring such a unique perspective to this because we kind of were laughing in transparency before the show started about how some people know this about her and some don't, and she's always surprised to find the people who don't, because we assume everybody does because we talk about it so much, but there are a few outliers out there. So
yeah,
for those that don't know, I will fill in the blank on this, and that is that Carina is a medium. And so she's going to be bringing about spiritual gifts and guides through that perspective and her own experience. So I'm going to turn it over to you and let you get started.
Okay. So just so you guys know, I talked about this in previous episodes. I did not have this gift from the very beginning. I did not have the mediumship when I was born. My dad passed away, and it was like a crack in the spiritual world opened up. And so about the age of 20, I'm not going to tell you how old we were talking about that backstage too. We don't need to know how old I am. So when my dad passed away, kind of a crack opened in it was a floodgate, and I had to learn what was happening. I thought I was going crazy for a little while, and actually realized after talking to other mediums and things like that, that it was actually a spiritual gift. And so I am a spiritual medium. There are all sorts of different spiritual gifts. People are empaths. My sister is an empath. Then they feel what other people feel. The way that I work is I have spiritual guides. I have 5 of them. And I work with sometimes all of them at once, and sometimes one of them at a time. It just depends. And that I haven't always had all 5 with me. They've kind of come throughout my life when I've needed them the most. And so who's to say I won't have another one someday? Who knows? I really think that God sends them to me when I need them in my different times in my life. And when you go through spiritual growth, everybody's like, I really want to spiritually grow. It is not the easiest thing to do. Usually it's during the roughest times in your life. So that's kind of what I wanted to kind of talk about today. So I do work with guides, and people work with different instruments. I see things more like memories in my head. I don't physically see spirit typically. I have, because I do paranormal investigating, I have seen them physically, but for the most part, when I'm working as a medium, I see things like a memory in my head. I don't see them. It kind of plays like a movie. When I say I hear them say this, I'm hearing it as a thought in my head, but I know it's not my thought, if that makes sense.
It does, and I appreciate you pointing out, that the guides aren't always there. And one of the ways that I feel like you can identify guides versus guardian angels or the other visitors that come and talk is they show up to help guide you through certain points in your life, and then when that's accomplished, they go and another set of guides comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's literally, guides is the best word to describe them, because they're there to guide through specific moments.
Yes. And I want to say, like, my very first guide, her name is Elizabeth. She's still here, but she is not my main person I work with now. She was the person who helped me learn my spiritual gift. And so she's still here, but I don't work with her near as much as I did in the beginning. And so she is there because she was my foundation, but she's not who I work with most of the time. So I would say throughout my life, and there's been times when I've needed all 5 of them with me because life gets rough.
Never.
They're laughing.
I don't know what you're saying about that.
I mean, I will say the last, like, if you look back on our journey over the last 4 years, I probably have been there. I feel like there are times where I have been spiritually stronger than I am now. Not that I'm not spiritually strong. I'm just working with spirit a little bit differently than I did maybe 4 years ago. But it's because life has majorly changed, and my spiritual gifts have moved in different directions too. So I kind of, sometimes you have to they kind of like let you physically grow, or you have to focus on the physical and not so much the spiritual, or you're doing both, but you don't realize you're doing both. Does that make sense?
Well, it does. And I think part of it too is, and I may just be me, but I feel like you and I are kind of alike in this, is when you first get a gift, you're like all in and you're like, yes, let's do it. Yes, let's do it. And then as the years go by, you're like, Yeah, I still have it, but I don't need to use it like that. And so it adapts and becomes more fundamental. So yeah, it looks like you're not doing it as much, but actually you are.
Hmm.
It's just you're not more outward about it because you're like, yeah, I've learned how to use it better and how it's just natural now and not have to go through all of this that I thought I did to bring it about.
Yeah, just like I think that there are times where it's just right there, and there are times where spirit makes it very abundantly clear that I need you to focus on this. But for the most part, like you said, I think that you learn it's part of me now. Like it for a long time I felt like spirituality and my everyday were separate, and now it's my spirituality and my everyday are together. And I will say that I was in the closet with my spirituality for years because I was very, very much condemned by family, by other people who don't understand my spiritual walk. And I've just come to go, this is who I am. It's a gift that God gave me. And if you don't understand that, it's a conversation and a lot of prayer that I've had with God myself. And so it's my walk with God and not yours. I just have that conversation with them now. And I'm like, I'm okay if you don't agree. It doesn't hurt my feelings. It used to, it doesn't anymore.
Well, and I think one of the important things to point out, and you kind of touched on it a little bit when you said they were laughing,
Mm-hmm.
is everybody has this idea that the spirit guides are like strict, no sense of humor, there to teach, they're like a teacher.
Maybe
And
sometimes, but
there
they,
are moments.
I, I know that I couldn't have a guide that way because I am a silly, spontaneous person, and I feel like spiritually they know that, and that's what I need. And I need someone to go, Karina, get your stuff together, or you're being ridiculous. Like I mean, they will really, literally say those things to me, and or laugh at me and be like, "Yeah, I told you." So,
Yeah, and I think that's important to know because it's like, when I first started investigating, I thought you had to be serious because this is, serious work and there is fun in it. And when you start to have the fun is where more stuff starts to happen. And so I feel like when you're working with your guides, if you're being all strict with them and being like classroom etiquette, I feel like you might be missing out on some of what they have to offer because they're they're beings just like we are. They have a fun side, they have a serious side, and they have a side of I don't know what we're calling what you're doing right now, but
yeah,
I'll just wait over here until you figure it out.
right. I told you which way to go, but you are going the opposite direction of what I am trying to guide you to. And so I'm going to sit here, and then when you're ready to come back, we're going to have that conversation. I think that that is, people think that if you're a spiritual medium, you're like my sister and I like made a really funny TikTok a long time ago where like people think like ghost hunters are like all serious, and we were like, really, we're just silly people, and we do get a lot more that way, but also we try to be our authentic self. Like spirit can tell when you're not being yourself. Like it's, who wants to be like that all the time? I know spirit doesn't. So I always am like, I gotta be myself. This is who I am. And part of it too is I was very closeted with it for a very long time, and scared of what people would think. And so now I'm just like, here it is. And like you said, I mean, literally, I was talking to somebody last week, and I was like, oh yeah, and we're going to do that. I'm going to talk about spiritual guides. And they're like, what? I didn't know you were a medium. I didn't know. I'm like, oh, I didn't even, it doesn't, I don't just go, hey, I'm a medium, by the way.
You don't have that Ida Joe sign over you that says medium with the arrow pointing down?
No, I'm a normal person. Like, that happens to have a spiritual gift. And I think everyone has spiritual gifts to an extent. You just tap into them, or maybe you can't handle that type of gift. I mean, I think that everybody has a little bit of something. Like, my husband is the biggest skeptic in the world. Okay. I tell you all this. Okay. And really and truthfully, I didn't really open up to my husband about my gifts until a few years ago, because I was that closeted. Like, it was personal to me. It was just something I did. And so he finally went on an investigation with me and saw me be able to say, no, he knows that I didn't know anything about the location. And what I was able to talk about, well, I feel like this happened, and I feel like this happened, and we're right on. And he was like, and he didn't really talk about it until we left. And he goes, are you sure you didn't know any of that? How did you know those things? So like we were able to talk about my gifts, and now he understands. But he will be the first one to tell you it was a raccoon under the house. It's causing all of the things.
Those pesky raccoons. But so I want to take a moment for, if people haven't or are new to this topic, how, in your words, do you know when a spirit guide is stepping forward, and what how they're here to help versus other spirits that may be here to help?
That's a really good question. I think in the beginning, when you're opening up, it's really hard to discern that. And I think it took me a good while to figure that out. I got to where I could tell different feelings. I was very in tune with my feelings when I was interacting with a spirit or spirit guide. And I would always have the same spirit with me. And so then the more we talked, I was like, okay. And she told me she was a spirit guide. And so that is how I knew. So I think it's through communication, but you also have to be very careful, because you don't want to open yourself up to something else. So lots of prayer, lots of boundaries. I even have boundaries with my spirit guides, but they helped me set those. But I would say you have to pray and meditate and ask for discernment. Does that make sense?
It does. And you brought up an interesting point, when you said, they told you so. And when you said that, I could hear like skeptics in my head reaching through and saying, well, you have quote unquote mimics. So how do you know this isn't a mimic
And
coming in and saying this? And I think you kind of hinted at it with discernment, but
you have to have discernment. You have to pray, and you have to mimics or things like that. You can tell quickly they will turn a different direction. And also, for me, I'm a little empathetic, so I get feelings off of entities, and I can tell whether they have good intentions or bad intentions. And so, and the more you work with spirit, you can feel that typically. And so for me, it's the more you work, but you also have to be, okay, let me be prayed up, because, and also say, if you don't have any good intentions with me, I don't want you anywhere near me, and setting boundaries. But I will say, the more you work with spirit, the more you can feel whether they have good intentions or not.
Right. And I know it sounds funny, but I always like to share with people, if the voice in your head or the energy that you're hearing is telling you to like drive your car into a lake, you
Not good.
probably are listening to the wrong
Not good.
spirit, wrong voice.
It's not.
Because
Your spirit
they,
guides are not going to tell you to do those type of things.
right.
They're going to help guide you and protect you. And so if you have something that is saying those type of things, that is not, absolutely not a spirit guide. And you should do some praying and put some boundaries up, and whatever that is, it doesn't need to be near you. And if you're struggling with that, you should reach out to somebody who can help you get rid of that.
I would say that is more of a attachment possession type, not spirit guide.
No.
So
Yes.
that's it's like we talk about it in such simplest terms, but that really is the bottom line. After, you know, you and I both have years of experience with this, that the easiest answer and the simplest answer is the right answer in this situation, and that is, if it's helping you and helping you grow better,
Yeah.
you're listening to the right thing. If it's doing stuff that may cause harm to someone, you're listening to the wrong thing.
Yeah, your spirit guides are not going to have you harm someone else. Now, your spirit guides may say, you should probably not be around that person. Okay. Do you already have a bad feeling about that person? Probably. Have they asked you to do things that aren't great? Probably. I mean, my guides, I get feelings about people like, are they being completely truthful with me? Probably, those type of things. And so I think you have to know with your spirit guides, they're not going to tell you to do bad things, and they're not going to do bad things to you. So, and if it doesn't feel right, it's not right.
And I know this is going to sound strange, but I grew up with a society that said intuition is a female thing. Guys don't have it. We have a gut. And I was like, I started to realize and think about it and go, okay, the gut, the intuition, the discernment, it's all the same thing, just a different title. So,
Yeah,
guys out there, I hate to break it to you, but you do have intuition.
me too.
Use it. Don't let people tell you it's not there.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel comfortable saying it, keep using the gut term. But
My
it's
my poor kids, my son, he is very intuitive. But I'm always like, what does your gut say? What are you, how are you feeling about it? And he's like, well, this and this. And I was like, okay, you're there. I don't need, but he's kind of, not as comfortable with like, this is what I'm feeling. He's getting there, but he does have it. But he has to be
well,
a mom, so
we also live in a world though where if I was to go into a group of people and say, my intuition is telling me this, I'm probably not going to get a lot of support
nope.
there. But if I go into a room of, okay, if I go into a room of guys and say, my intuition is telling me somebody in here is, feeling really uncomfortable about their hearing voices, I'm going to get laughed out of the room probably if I don't get beaten up first.
I do have to say that people are a little bit more comfortable with things coming from on the female side. I mean, I told you my husband's the biggest skeptic out there. And I think that's something to do with, the way that we were raised and the things that we were taught. I feel like that's why I was in the closet forever.
So we're just showing examples of what it was like when we were growing up. And because the reason I'm sharing this is the world we live in today. I could walk into the group and say the same thing now, and half of the guys may be like, dude, you're right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's me.
Yeah.
Maybe, I was kind of, confused about that. What really is going on? And the other half will probably still be skeptic or the old ways, but we are changing. So
I feel
we
like
are
more open.
right. There is growth in civilization and society. It just it's taking its time because these are major things that were ingrained, almost like DNA ingrained into us,
Absolutely.
that are changing. And so you got to take the small wins.
Absolutely. I have to say it. I mean, from where I began 20 something years ago to now, it's night and day. Like, not everywhere, I have to say, not everywhere. I now live in the Bible Belt, very out west. And so they're a little bit more conservative. But I have to say, because this is where I grew up, they're a lot more open than they were when I was younger. So um, not everyone is, but a lot a lot more people are accepting nowadays than they used to, for sure.
Well, and another thing I'll just mention about, where as we're talking about growth and everything is I was on a panel show a couple nights ago talking about a topic, and the lady that spoke before me, and then I decided since she spoke, I can speak about a certain part, and that was past life memory
Mm,
about the topic because past lives are something that people still don't fully understand and really, it's still kind of in the limbo, so to speak, of is it real or not real. So it's not really talked about as much as, say, like UFOs or cryptids or ghosts. And so you got to be careful, where you bring it up because, you don't know how it's going to be received. But I was impressed that she brought it up and was supported. So I brought it up and I was supported. And I was like, this is
nice.
really cool that I found a place where I can actually talk about these and that, and so it's kind of like you were saying, we live closeted, not by choice, but it's survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really cool that we are entering an age, and I'm not talking about the age of the fire horse that starts tonight with the
I
eclipse,
know.
but I'm talking about the next step where people are aware and
Mhm.
seeking to know if they have past lives. How can they find them? They're looking for answers. And so it's a really cool that we have lived long enough that we are seeing the flip and going, wow, we are now the guides to these people who we didn't have this, but now we can be this for them and make this transition and shift easier for some people, maybe.
Yeah, it's really awesome to be able to, like, okay, this is my experience and this is what I went through, and to be able to, I didn't have that and I had to seek it out, and people weren't talking about it a whole lot. And so to be able to, like, just be able to talk and help someone else, that's been my probably my favorite thing to do, is like if someone comes in and asks me, like,
Uh-oh. Oh, this is a fun when you live out in the boonies, or in, as we call the boonies, the countryside, or outside of the major cities. And Texas weather is kind of funky, so we will bring her back in.
I do not know what happened. I have no idea. I was like, it just left for a second. Sorry, guys.
Oh, I just wrote it off to Texas weather.
Probably the wind here right now is horrible. It's horrible.
And that's it. And the fact that, you're outside of major cities, so Wi-Fi is a little bit more hit or miss.
It is. I live in the middle of nowhere, little bitty town. So, but yeah, we're talking about spirit stuff, so it could have totally been my guides going, let's just play with stuff. That happens to me sometimes with technology too. It's like, really, guys.
Oh, I know. And it's always fun when it's like you'll be in the middle of making this really great point.
I know.
And then it disappears, and you're like, well, now I don't know. I lost my thunder, lost my
Where was I? I don't
conversation, thought, train, all of it. So it's like, sorry, moment's gone.
Yeah, no. But it is, I think we were talking about being able to share our gifts. And I really love, that's the thing, is finding people who have different gifts and realizing that not everyone's gift is the same as yours, and learning about how other people work has probably been the coolest thing for me. Like, there are people who physically see spirit. My gift, I don't. And I think a lot of it has to do with how you can handle those type of things. I think that when my dad passed away, if I physically had seen him standing there or had physically seen a spirit standing there, I would have freaked out and thought I was crazy and ended up hospitalized. I'm pretty sure that probably would have happened. I think that spirit gives you things in a way that you can handle. And so that they know that I can handle it like a movie in my head, like a thought. And so does that mean that my gift will not change to the other? No, actually, people's gifts change all the time. I ask them not to do that. I would really appreciate it that I'm not somewhere and physically see a ghost standing there unless I'm doing an investigation, and please let me catch it on camera. But
like those stipulations there.
Please let me catch it on camera. But I think that spirit, your gifts are how you can handle them. So every person's gift is a little bit different and it's unique to yourself. I don't read the future. I'm not a psychic in any way, shape, or form. I might get feelings about certain things. I might, I have had dreams, but that is not how my gift works. And typically I am not like a psychic. I can't tell you the future. I can't give you the lotto numbers, because if I could, I would have won already. But I work with spirits that have passed, or angels, or demons. I don't work with demons. I help get rid of them. But let me clarify that. But I help people who are having issues.
Where's that exit button real quick? Wait a minute.
Did I hit it? But so that is my biggest thing. And other people use different tools. Like some people use tarot cards or oracle cards. I sometimes use those things. I don't have to have them. But if I'm in a big group setting, sometimes they help me focus on things. Some people use pendulums. You got your cards. I have two of my decks sitting here. Some people use pendulums. I have two team members who use rods really well. I cannot use the rods. I tried. Do you know what those rods do in my hands? They go like helicopters. Like, they do not work for me. That is not. And my spirit guides laugh. If I try to use a pendulum, they're like, you don't need that. Like, they will tell me that is not for you. So not everything is for everyone, but you have to find what's right for you and what works for you.
And one thing I would like to kind of piggyback with that is I have the ability, I can pick up dowsing rods and make them work right away. Same thing with the pendulum. And I think it has to do with how I grew up with the energies and my relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
What's important though is remembering not everybody learns the same. And so if somebody comes up to you and says, I want to learn how to use this, and you go, just do this, and if they can't make it work, and you're like, well, maybe this isn't for you,
Mm-hmm.
that's wrong a little bit because that's a judgment,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just got to remember that everybody learns at a different pace, and so to you have to act. What I find myself doing is I'll actually go back to a basic and go, well, ask this question
Mm-hmm.
and see what the rods do or what the pendulum does. And
Yeah.
go, okay, now we got that. Now ask this question. And if it responds the same way, I go, what are you thinking right now?
Mm-hmm.
Because people don't realize the power of the mind. So if you're thinking this isn't going to work, they're not going to work, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is when you go to an investigation or you go to see a medium or a psychic or somebody and you're like, I want you to teach me this gift, look at how they use it themselves, because if they're going to sit there and be like, well, I do it this way and this is the way to do it,
Yeah.
you got the wrong teacher,
Yeah.
because no one has the only way to do it. And so just be mindful and just, notice if somebody's using them. Like if two people are working together using it in different ways, those are probably the people you want to ask, hey, can you show me how to do that?
Yeah. How does it work for you? Those type of, that's the biggest thing is if you're trying to teach someone is remember everyone's gift's different and everyone works different. And so I do a lot of how are you feeling? What are you feeling? Because a lot of mine started with feelings. Are you seeing anything? Are you smelling anything? Those type of things. And then if they want to learn different tools, I don't use them because my guides don't want me to, because they want me to rely on them more. And that's why if I try to use rods, they go crazy. They're like, you don't need these. We want you to focus spiritually and trust in what you're feeling and seeing. And so I think that you have to also try to, if you have a guide, try to listen to, okay, help guide me on how you want me to use this. Because the way I use my oracle cards or tarot cards is probably completely different than a lot of people use them, but it works for me and how I feel led to do them. And really, when I use cards, they're really just kind of helping me hone in on what spirit's telling me. And so everyone does it a little different. And my sister will read cards, kind of she'll do a full spread, but she will also then sometimes do it just like me. Let's just flip cards and see what we get. So it's different. It's harder to read. It's also harder to read for someone you really know. I prefer to read for someone I don't know because it's more validating. It's also more validating for me because I don't know that person and I can't have heard that from them before sometime. And I also can't read for myself. It's really difficult.
I find I can read for myself. I just have a hard time trusting what's coming through, that it's not just me wanting what I want. And
yeah, that's more of it. I second guess it a lot for myself. Like, I don't second guess so much for other people, but when it's coming through for me, I'm like, am I just wanting that, or is it really? And so I will typically, if I'm trying to pick up on something for myself, use cards a little bit more, because then I can hone in on it. But then I still second guess that. I'm not gonna lie. I'll be like, okay, we'll see.
Yeah. And there is a divination tool that I think when people try to use it is mixed results. One, because of the persona around it, and the other is just it's a really strange tool. And that's the psychomantiums, where you're in a room with a mirror
Um,
around you and you can see things, but I know from experience and reading and studying on what they are, there are, warnings that go with them of, you have to be in the right mindset. Well, you have to be in the right mindset for everything you do.
yeah.
That's a given. But they say, like, the psychomantium, you can go in there, and if you're not prepared for what you'll see, it can have major impact on you. And I feel like some people will approach it and be like, nope, I'm not going in there. Or they make light of it and are like, oh, yeah, you should totally go in there because, nothing. Sorry, nothing's going to happen. And I think we need to stop, kind of making jokes of what we don't understand and what we think is going to happen. And because I can go in and I'm like, I see nothing happened. Somebody else can go in and be like, oh my God, because they've set themselves up to be psyched out.
Mhm.
And so we have to be careful when we're using the gifts and abilities. When we go to places like that, we have to keep in check our emotions, our
Mhm.
mental state, our physical state. Everything has to be in alignment. And when you enter there, be open to what's coming through, but at the same time going, yeah, if you don't have my highest, interest in mind, you can stay in that mirror world. Sorry, but you ain't coming to me. You ain't using me to get out of here.
Mhm.
You're stuck there.
I think
But
I haven't dealt with that a whole lot, but I think that anytime that you're going into a situation spiritually, that you have to be so self-aware. Like you were just saying, like if I'm not physically, mentally up to things, um, I can't be doing this for someone else because I can't even right now for myself. And I will tell you this last year, you've probably noticed I haven't investigated a whole lot on my pages and stuff because honestly, I had some big life transitions and I was not in a place to be able to do that for someone else because I needed to spiritually ground myself. I had a lot of health changes for the better for the most part, but like my work, I had a huge life change that didn't work out. I had to transition to another job, and so mentally, I wasn't able to help other people as much, and so I had to be self-aware and know I'm not ready to do that right now, and be okay with saying that. You have to set boundaries not only for other people but for yourself too, because I could not then have gone into battle mode and battled someone else's issues because I was having issues myself. So if that makes sense.
it does. And the flip side of it, too, is when we're paranormal investigating or doing using our abilities at events, we are doing so because we trust the people that are there. We have rapport with them. And so if I'm in a compromised state and I go there to support someone else, I can't truly support them the right way because I may be like, we may go to do something and I'm like, oh man, I got to step away. And
Mhm.
I step away, I'm missing what's going on. And when I come back, they could have, be somewhere else and something happened. And I'm like, well, I don't know what happened. And I
Yeah.
can't help because I'm not even aware that something's happened. And that's the other thing is,
Mhm.
say, Karina and I are on investigation and she starts acting all mysterious and is like quiet.
That's not me.
I would be in my right mind. I would be like red flags start going off and going, "Hey, Karina, we might need to step outside or
Mhm.
maybe step into another room, kind
Yeah.
of brush you off a little bit, get you some water
Hmm.
and go back in if we so choose." But if I'm in a state where I'm not feeling 100%, I'm going to miss that potentially. And you're going to be like, how could you let that happen to me? And I'm going to be like, yeah, I really shouldn't have been there. We shouldn't have been there, should we? And we're going to be like kicking ourselves, going, why did we do this? Why did we, quote, be the hero that,
Yeah.
showed
It's
up when we weren't ready to show up? And
yeah. I will
this
say
went
that
really sideways really fast.
I went back. I did an event and I should not have gone because I wasn't ready. But I knew quickly after. I have a great team who were able to handle things, but I wasn't. I was not ready to be back, and realized it. I thought I was, and I was like, I'm not ready to be back at this, and I don't need to be because I am not 100%. I'm not mentally there yet. And my guides, luckily, were with me and kept me safe, and everybody was safe. But I didn't listen. I did not listen, and should have. And so, honestly, you have to. If you're not physically and mentally prepared or okay, it's okay to say you're not okay. That's like I always tell people, it's like I'd rather you tell me I can't do this because I have to take care of me than to go into a situation where you're not. We would then be in a little bit more, you're compromised. And so I have done a lot of healing over the last year to say, I just tried to go back. I wasn't ready to go back. I'm getting to where I am. I'm in the midst of, of writing a book and going to tell all the stories of all of the things, but it's been a journey. And I think my spirit guides, I had to go through that to get to where I am now, to say it's okay to say I'm not okay.
Right. And that's important. And it's like I said, we don't need to be the hero because we're team leads or we're lead investigators. We don't always have to show up
No.
because it is perfectly fine and is actually better to role model taking care of yourself. And on that note, I'm kind of curious because we've been talking about, a few gifts and there's so many out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we're kind of only talking about the usual ones that everyone's used to. And I'm curious, are there any gifts that you've come across in your studies and personal growth that you're like, ooh, I wish I could learn that one, or I wish I had that gift in me and could use that more.
There's, I'm trying to think if there are any, like, I would love, we've already talked about being a psychic. Like, I would love to do that, but I am not that um, at all. I think that certain people, like, they're a really strong empaths, and I would love to be that, but I think that would be really hard to like shut off. And I've had friends, but I'm like, I'm trying to think of like a unique that I would really want. What would you say of one?
One for me is it's kind of a mixed bag because I would like to have usage of all the clairs because
Okay.
there's so many of them and they all are so useful in different perspectives, like clear audience where you hear.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really cool in places where you're not really picking up on anything, but you may hear what nobody else could hear, and that would
Yeah.
be just cool to, be able to do that or see things when you can't hear because there's too much noise.
Mm-hmm.
And so to be able to switch to the different clairs, and the only one I'm not sure that I would want, though, honestly, is the taste one. Because I
Yeah.
feel like, there are some things that once you get in your mouth, you're like, you just can't get that out. And I'm like,
I
no.
don't. There's been a couple of like when I get visions, and I will have to, and part of it I think is because of my medical background. So I know the smells and the tastes and I can tell you what blood smells like and taste in the air. And so I've had that in different places and I don't love it. Like the taste of, I don't want to taste anything gross. I would not, I don't think I would want that. I've had it rarely, but I've had a lot of smells, a lot of smells.
Yeah. Smells would be a hard one because there are some smells. I'm sorry,
I don't want to smell.
you get a whiff of that and everything you had that day is instantly coming up. There is no ands, ifs, or buts, and I don't want that on, and being somewhere and going, oh, I'm getting a smell of. Oh, okay, hold on. Anybody got a bucket? I need a bucket now.
See, I guess smells don't bother me as much, but also that has to do with my profession. And so I am used to all sorts of smells that would come in. And so I think that's why sometimes I will get smells because I will take that smell and put it with a disease or some sort of something, and that helps me. So I think um, that's probably why I get them a little bit more. I don't think I physically want to hear things because I we hear them on investigations occasionally, and it's great. I do love that when I hear things, it's a thought, it's not a physical hearing. Because I think that would, if I had people whispering all the time, I think it would drive me crazy.
Right. And it's interesting you talk about, like with your medical background, like being able to know what the smell of blood and the taste of blood is like. And I'm not going to ask medically how you know that, but I can say from past lives as being in battles, oh,
Mm,
yeah, I can smell that in the air and I'll be like, and I don't know if it's because of memories of different lifetimes of different centuries, but it's like you start to like you can smell it and be like, okay, this is around the gunfire age,
yeah.
or this is around the sword fighting age,
Hmm.
and you can kind of determine where the spirit's from the smell of the blood, because it's like it's hard to explain, but there is difference based on what the combat style was like, or if there was no combat and somebody just like walked by, slit their throat, and left, that has
Mm-hmm.
a different smell too.
Yeah. And I think that's a great thing about spirit too, is like spirit gives things to us in the way that we can interpret it. Like you're able to take that information and put it to the age of things, and spirit gives things to me and I'm able to put it in a medical, or through my life experiences I can put those things together. And so I think that's a really unique thing that you have to remember about spiritual gifts, is it's given in the way that you can interpret it. And it's not always the way you interpret it is the way I interpret it would be the same way you would interpret it, because our life experiences are different and spirit gives it to us the way that we will understand to be able to give it.
Right. And the bottom line too is whatever gift you have
Mm-hmm.
is done through your filters.
Mm-hmm.
Your life's filters that your life has created. And so if you are, open and you're like, oh, just exuding energy, and you're like, yes, this,
Mm-hmm.
your gifts are going to follow that pattern.
Yes.
Whereas if you're, well, I have this, but I can't really use it, and I don't understand this or that, your gifts are going to feel the same thing.
Yeah.
They're going to be, you're going to be like, well, I think I heard this, but I don't know that I heard this. And so that's, to me, is like a bottom line thing, is you have to remember your filters and your perceptors that you have created for yourself
Mm-hmm.
will determine how all your abilities and all your gifts and your guides and everything will interact. Because if you are like dead set, there are no voices, I will never hear voices, because voices are like crazy people hear
Mm-hmm.
voices, you're going to have a much different interaction with everything
Mm-hmm.
than somebody who's like, I got no problem talking to grandma who's on the other side. I can hear her. She hears me. We have great conversations. I'm not afraid of it. So
Yeah.
guides are going to talk to you that way.
Yeah. I think that I want to say that in the beginning, I was very much I don't know if I'm really getting this, so I'm not going to give it, because I was really unsure of myself. And the more I worked with it, I was able to go, okay, really and truthfully, that's why I got into paranormal investigating. It was because I had this gift, didn't understand it, didn't have an outlet, couldn't test it, those type of things. And I'm also very scientific, and I want proof of things. I want proof that I'm not making this up in my head. And so that's why I got into paranormal investigating. That's why I go into places not knowing any information, because it's not necessarily for other people. It's for me. It's for me to know and help me be more confident in my gifts. Um, to go, oh, but I also have people that are with me that are able to have that information and can either say, no, you're not on, you're completely on, you're not on the right path, or yes, or those type of things. So I think that's why I got into paranormal investigating. It really helps me to hone my gift, and it helped for me to be more confident. You have to find the right outlet and the right people. I think that's important, that you surround yourself with people who are going to support you, and not steer you the wrong direction. So you kind of have to find your support system.
Very true. And another gift I know I have, but I don't know how to activate it, and I don't know how to like turn it off if I do activate it. And that is actually I had a doc or a I don't say doc, but a doctorate person tell me I have the ability to time slip to where I
Really?
can go to different time. And she was explaining because I was talking about twice in my life I've been on a battlefield and I could smell the blood in the air, the gunpowder in the air. I could hear the movements. It's like I could taste the battle energy and I could see the movements of everything. It's like all my senses were in that moment. And she says that is time travel, time slipping, is when all your senses are engaged in that moment, in that experience. You are physically in that time as an observer.
Oh, wow. So I have
And
not ever heard that or felt that. So that's interesting.
yeah, because it's like, and I had it happen at Yorktown with the Revolutionary War, and I had it happen at Vicksburg, to where my mom was like thrilled because she's getting like it'd be like I was handed a mic and going, okay, we got the Blues moving up on the left and
Oh,
the
wow.
Braves are moving up on the right. There's gonna be a clash. Who's gonna win? And it's like commentary almost, but I was like, I could literally like picture where all the movements of troops were.
Mm-hmm.
Even
Yeah.
though when you go to Vicksburg or Yorktown, there are no bodies. There's like a few cannon here, a few cannon there. It's like nothing like what it really looked like.
Yeah.
And so to be able to know that is like I at first when I was feeling it, I was like, oh, I'm watching a movie of a past life. I must have had a past life here. And she was like, well, no, because all it's like you could feel it, you could touch, you could all your senses are there. That puts you physically there. And I was like, that kind of blew my mind when she said that because I was like, it makes sense, but I don't know how to go and say, okay, we're here now. Let's flick this
Right.
on. And Surface Planet Radio, I have not been to Gettysburg yet. It is on my list. I just haven't gotten there yet.
It
But
is on my bucket list for sure.
I wonder, though, sometimes with places like Gettysburg, and I don't mean to discount, people's experiences, but everybody talks about they see ghosts here. They thought they were a part of reenactments here and there, and everything seems to almost be almost in similar space
Mm-hmm.
on this battlefield that I kind of wonder in the back of my mind, are these experiences all really happening, or is it the mind, creating what we're wanting and expecting to happen?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's playing it out in front of us because that's what other people have said have happened. And here I am doing the same thing. And so I ought to get the same results. And I know you don't always get it, but I kind of wonder, at times, does that happen to where we think, oh, I'm here at Bloody Lane. Yes, it's very thick. The energy is very thick. Oh my God, I'm picking up on this. Well, are you really picking up on it? Or are you picking up on the hype that everybody has said it's there, and so you're like, oh yeah, I'm picking it up.
Yeah.
You kind of know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that is part of the reason why a lot of the time when I go into places, I will not look up paranormal experiences from other people, and I like to not know the history of things. One, because that's part of my confirmation with my gift. But I think that sometimes we can manifest those things. Um, some of it's probably it is an experience, but how can we tell which is an experience or what we're manifesting in our mind sometimes? I don't know. I think that it's very important that people are self-aware of those things. But I agree. I think that sometimes we can get the hype if we read things and know a little bit too much about some of the things that we go into and try to make that happen.
And I have another interesting question about it too for you from another angle. And I'm not sure how much into like past life lore and everything that you are, but let's say you had a past life being at, um, let's say Chancellorsville, and you go to Chancellorsville, you don't study the history, and you're like, well, this place seems active, and you go there and you start going, yeah, I see troop movements over here. I feel like there's battle scene been over here. Could that be your past life memory coming forward and like replaying what you seen when you were there and bringing the experience into the present? Or
I feel like it would be a different feeling. Like I've had like deja vu feelings, like I've been there, lived that before. And when I am visioning troops and things there, for me, that's the way that my gift works. But for someone else, you might feel like, hey, I've been here before. I feel like with past lives in those situations, you probably get the feeling that you've lived that or been that before. It's a little bit different than, hey, I'm seeing these troops here or those type of things, if that makes sense.
it does. And on the flip side, too, I wonder, if the energy that's there, because, I mean, we all know, tragedy leaves an imprint.
Mm-hmm.
That's, it's scientific. We know
Mm-hmm.
everything leaves an imprint. And so I wonder, on the grounds of like saying, I was a soldier in this battlefield once, that the energy that's there is like, oh, wait, one of us has come back
Could be.
and is like, hey, let's manifest. Let's really put on a show because we they're feeding off of your energy of being there, and so it's like a boost of energy of, yeah, there's fresh energy being brought in that belongs here,
Mm-hmm.
even though you've never been there.
Yeah.
And with the thought of soul retrieval and all of that, bringing in like they call a soul shard, or something similar to that. If
Mm-hmm.
that process, if the energy is there, like, hey, there's a huge amount of energy being brought in, let's use
Mm-hmm.
it. Or
Yeah.
if they would be like, okay, he's doing his thing, let's not disturb him, let's just
Mm-hmm.
keep calm, everybody,
Yeah. I
let's just
think
do our thing.
I absolutely think that when you're in places or are places you've been in past lives, I mean, there's one place that I feel at home every time I go. and the energy will amp up about a week before I get there every time. And it's Myrtle's Plantation. I feel it, like I feel at home every time I go. I don't know why, but I feel like somewhere in my past life I was there or around there, but the energy will amp up every time before I go. I haven't been in years. It's time to go again. But I think that you will feel like at home, or I've been here, or get those feelings. And I absolutely think that the energy around may feed off of that, especially if they recognize your energy as being there before.
And Myrtle's Plantation, I've been there once, and I get what you mean. And there was one thing that stuck in my head when I was there doing the tour, and it stuck in my head in such a way that it's like I look at it and go, that's not right, or is that really right? Is that really what that means? And in which case, do we need to look at France? And that is the fleur de lis, and how it's on the doors to trap or keep out spirits. And if that's a real thing, then I'm like, wait a minute. What about the French flag? They've always used the fleur de lis.
Yeah.
France has got its own history, but because they use the symbols in everything, is that why they had such a tumultuous history?
And I don't know a whole lot about that part of it. I mean, who knows? I mean, I haven't been to. I've been to Europe. I went to Italy, but I really would love to go to France and just be there to see and feel that history. Because if you think about it, U.S. is really young compared to Italy and France and the UK, and so
Actually, not so much.
I mean, it's a lot younger than. I mean, we have history here. There have been people here, but the history, a lot of like probably the more negative history or tumultuous history prior to that was probably more in Europe.
So you may not be aware of this, but America was colonized in BC with the Phoenicians.
Mm-hmm.
They were sailing up the Mississippi getting copper. We were actually supplying copper to England and Europe. And so our history is not like we're told that we are not like 300 years old, that we are actually just as old as everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
It's just our history was we were colonized, we were mined, then when that was no longer needed, we were vacated, the natives did their thing, or indigenous, whatever you want to term you want to give them. And then we returned and we're like, hey, look, we found new land. We're like, no, this land's already been known. Sorry, but okay. And when we think about it, you know, we always are like, how did the indigenous know we were whites and from Europe? Because we just arrived. They wouldn't have that knowledge. And history has never really said why they knew. And in knowing we colonized the Mississippi for mining in BC, explains that they obviously came across them, their ancestors did, and so they had stories of white people there. So when the whites arrived, they're like, hey, the whites are back. Oh no, because you know what happened the last time they were here. Get prepared, everybody. And so it kind of makes the history make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Where if we look at, well, we're only a young country, our history doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so it like was interesting to me, and like how important it was on the back of Phoenician coins is the Mississippi Valley, the
Really?
Mississippi River.
No
And
idea.
so it's like, yeah, we were known just as long as everybody else, but we just weren't colonized like everybody else. And so it makes our history like there's gaps.
That makes sense. Makes sense. No, I had no idea. I don't know any of that.
Yeah. And I mean, everybody has left their mark here in America. We have Egyptian marks, we have Aztec marks, we have Mayan marks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody has been in America at some point in pre Columbian time to ancient times. And so it took me a while being a history major to come to terms that we are not a young country anymore. We have a history that stands toe to toe with the rest of the world, but we just don't get to hear it and we don't get to study it because we would have to rewrite our textbooks, and we all know how America loves to rewrite textbooks.
This is true. This is true.
But yeah, and so is there any advice or any message that you want to give to anybody about seeking any spiritual gifts or getting in touch with spiritual guides, or both if you want to do one for each?
Okay. So I would say um don't go guns blazing into it. Like sometimes you have to take baby steps. If you feel like you have a spiritual gift, I have a journal. Like I will say start writing the things down that you are feeling or seeing, because one, a lot of times when I get things, I don't remember them. Like if I give something, like if spirit gives me something, I don't remember everything that they give me. So if I write it down, I can then go back and go, oh yeah, I remember now. Um, or if I'm doing a reading for someone, I might write it down for them and be like, because sometimes not everyone gets it right then. They might go home and then go, oh my gosh, I get it now. And be confident in what you're giving if you feel like it is. Even if they don't get what you're saying right away, I would say, I can only give you what I'm getting. I'm going to write this down for you. And then maybe it will come to you later or in a week or so. This may be why they're giving it. But I would say get a journal. That's the biggest thing, is write things down and what you're feeling in the beginning, because it helps you sort everything out. And then with your spiritual guides, take some time, and a lot of people say meditate, but in the quiet, ask questions, use your journal for that too. Like, it took me a long time to get my spirit guides' names. And I still have one that doesn't have a name, and that's okay. Um, and so, and what do you want me to address you as, or how do you want, asking those questions like, why are you here? Are you here to guide me? Those type of things. I mean, it's kind of the same thing as paranormal investigating. It's like, what message would you like to give? Like, if that makes sense.
It does. And one thing I will say I've noticed with spirit guides
Mm-hmm.
is there is an old legend of if you know a spirit's name, you can kind of get domain over it
Mm-hmm.
and or control or can utilize it. And
Mm-hmm.
so there are times that I feel like when I'm talking with the medium and they're like, oh, your guide's name is this. I feel like that's a public name
Mhm.
and you're going to get their real name a
Yeah.
different way
Mhm.
because I think that they're aware of that as well. And they're not going to sit there and go, oh, yeah, my name is Jack. And
Yeah.
then it's like everybody that listens to this goes, hey, Jack. They're like, okay, got to do that. Universal law is universal law.
Yeah. I mean, and I I think in the beginning it was really important for me to get a name because I thought I needed to put that name with something else. For me now, it's like, okay, I know that you're here to help me and guide me and do those type of things. And if you want to give me that name, great. I mean, I do have one that is an angel, my warrior angel, and I had to spell it out because I couldn't say it. And I did do some research. So there are certain things like that that you will get that are going to help you in your journey. But if you don't get a name, it's okay. Like I said, I still have one that I don't have a name.
Yeah. What's in a name?
What's
Ask
in
Shakespeare. He'll tell you.
a But journal, I will tell you, journaling is my go-to. I will write things down. I have even written things down that wasn't my handwriting. So there you go.
Very cool. And so, with the few minutes that are left, is there anything you got coming up that you want to promote?
I don't have a whole lot coming up. I am in the midst of writing a book, and it really is talking about my my coming out of the closet. It literally is called Stepping Out of the Darkness. I'm hoping to have it finished within the next few months, but I'm really asking Spirit to help me, guide me, and get, I want to do it right. It's really talking about being in the closet spiritually, how I came to be confident, what gifts I've had, what kind of the tribulations I've gone through with not only family, but friends who just don't believe that I'm doing the right thing. And I had to come to terms with God and say, okay, God, you gave this to me. What do you want me to do with it? And learning to be able to say that to people who don't necessarily understand. So hopefully in the next, 6 months, that will be finished. But that's really what I've got coming up. I don't have a whole lot of other things coming up except for graduation in New Orleans. And that'll be my first time in New Orleans. So I'm kind of really excited about that. So
Really? You've been to Myrtle's plantation and you never went to New Orleans?
I've like driven around New Orleans and it's been on my bucket list to go. And I've been to Myrtle's, but I have not been to New Orleans. Like I've been to the zoo there and then we left. Like we didn't do anything like crazy. So I guess I've been to New Orleans, but I haven't experienced it like I really want to. So I will get to do that this time next month.
Oh, next month? So then you'll be after Mardi
After
Gras. So,
I'm not a crowd person. If you haven't figured that out, I'm like I'm Mardi Gras will be over when I go. So kind
that's
of
what I was wondering. I was like, yeah, if you're going now, you're probably not going to be able to do a lot of what you think you're going to be able to do.
no, we're going like yeah, it's probably right after Mardi Gras is over. So I'm glad. Um, like I think it's great for some people, but we pick up on energy, so I definitely don't want to be in all of that energy for sure. I don't like crowds.
I don't either, and which is strange because I'm always seems to find myself in them, but I'm always like, yeah, okay. How fast can it go? How long? This is my favorite moment when I start getting into a crowd. Is how long do I actually have to stay here to count as
Being here,
making my appearance and qualify as I did my bid?
yeah,
Now I can leave. I'm free.
yeah.
Obligation done.
I mean, I love it for a little bit. I just especially with like Mardi Gras crowds. Like I don't do concerts and things like that either because there's so many people. So I would rather go to small events and things like that than big events.
Definitely. I'm with you on that. Well, I thank you for your time. I know you got to get up early for work, and so we're going to call it a night. And thank you for sharing everything and sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you for having me. I enjoy it and I am glad we have continued our tradition.
I know, and I even remember one of the 4 years we actually were on Valentine's Day, and I was like, I kept saying to you, "Are you sure? Are you sure we're gonna do this?" Because I
Yeah.
was like, I know what that day means.
When you've been married 30 years, as long as I have, your husband understands.
Does he understand, or is it more of a yes, dear deal?
Sometimes it's yes, dear, but he knows, he whatever makes me happy makes him happy.
Well, I just hope he knows I appreciate him sharing your time with us, and
Yes,
so I appreciate him for being open and receptive to this tradition,
absolutely.
and blessings to you and your family. And I don't know if I've ever done this with you or not, but I started last year and I don't know if I really was doing it around this time, but from my heart and the heart of my show to you, thank you for what you're doing for humanity.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
seen, felt, and we are aware.
Oh, I love that. I love that. It's been fun and I have enjoyed it. And I really, truly appreciate you having me on.
Well, I appreciate you as well and the times that we get to hang out and have fun and not always paranormal wise, but hey, take what you can get,
Karaoke, it's always a good time.
especially when you're the observer.
People watching at its finest.
Oh, fun times. All right, well, I will let you go so you can get some rest and thank you. Thank you to everybody who's watching. Please like, follow, and subscribe because you won't want to miss when she's on next. And with that, we will see you all on the next episode next week. And blessings to you all. Good night.
Night.